So Aaron Rodgers was on Joe Rogan, and I saw a little clip of Rogan on YouTube talking about these policies being put in by the left in regard to early transition with children. And he made a very, very, very solid, valid point. Very new thought to me, which is Munchausen syndrome in relation to parents and early transition with their children. Munchausen syndrome is a well-known disorder of people who love the attention from being sick and ill, and they fake it to the point where they end up in hospitals. And so I wanted to touch on some of these symptoms. So Munchausen syndrome is a factitious disorder, a mental disorder in which a person repeatedly and deliberately acts as if they have a physical or mental illness when they are not really sick. Munchausen syndrome is considered a mental illness because it is associated with severe emotional difficulties. What are the symptoms of Munchausen syndrome? Dramatic but inconsistent medical history, unclear symptoms that are not controllable and that become more severe or change once treatment has begun. Predictable relapses following improvement in the condition, extensive knowledge of hospitals and or medical terminology, as well as the textbook descriptions of illnesses. So, as you can see, there's a spectrum by the looks of it. It seems as though Munchausen syndrome isn't something that can be statistically tracked, which has to create some degree of concern when you think about parents who could potentially have Munchausen syndrome. If they have this syndrome, could they theoretically start to early transition children or encourage the early transition because of the attention that it gets? So many people are getting a lot of attention. I mean, you look at people like Charlize Theron in the media who, I believe she's transitioning her children. Charlize transgender daughter Jackson. Keep scrolling. Yeah, so as you can see, Charlize Theron is transitioning her daughter early, which
7 years old.
is insane. That's insane. That's abuse. That's criminal. I'm a fan of Charlize Theron. Clearly, she is just a misguided individual to put your daughter or your child through that. Crazy. Anyway, this Munchausen syndrome is something that could be tens of thousands of people in the American population, the Canadian population. There could be a massive amount of people with this potential disorder that could end up transitioning their children for the sake of attention. We don't know these things. This is why it's so important that we keep this transitioning only for adults. We can't have this because there's too many people out there who are emotionally lost and crave attention. Scary stuff. And I never even considered the concept of Munchausen syndrome in relation to early transition with children. And it's something that we definitely need to discuss more. It needs to be talked about more publicly and considered more publicly.